The world is holding its breath tonight, as uncertainty and anticipation ripple through cities and towns across the globe. A new player steps onto the stage of the Ukraine peace talks, bringing with them a wave of speculation and cautious hope. Headlines blaze from Washington to Kyiv. Former President Donald Trump is now at the forefront, spearheading a bold and controversial push to end the war that has gripped the world's attention for years. His proposal is as dramatic as it is divisive. Freeze the front lines, allowing both sides to claim a form of victory and bring the relentless bloodshed to a halt, at least for now. After years of brutal conflict, shattered cities, and a grinding stalemate that has cost countless lives, this unexpected move arrives at a moment when many had begun to lose hope for any resolution. Around the world, people are asking, is this a genuine breakthrough, a turning point toward peace, or merely another false dawn, destined to fade away? For Ukraine, the stakes could not be higher. The nation has fought valiantly for its sovereignty, enduring unimaginable hardship, heartbreak, and loss in defense of its future. European leaders are scrambling to grasp the full implications, deeply concerned that this deal might legitimize Russian territorial gains and set a dangerous precedent for the continent. Allies and analysts alike are questioning whether this signals a fundamental shift in American foreign policy, and what message it sends to the world about standing up to aggression. Is a frozen conflict truly peace, or is it simply a pause before the next, perhaps even more devastating, storm? For soldiers and civilians, any talk of peace is a fragile hope, a delicate thread after years of trauma, displacement, and loss. Yet, beneath the surface, many Ukrainians fear that a compromise now could mean sacrificing their dreams, their land, and their children's future. As high-level talks unfold behind closed doors, the fate of millions hangs in the balance, caught between the desperate hope for peace and the unyielding demand for justice and dignity. The world watches, holding its collective breath, waiting to see if this unorthodox approach can finally bring an end to the suffering and bloodshed. Tonight, the air is thick with speculation, anxiety, and a cautious optimism that maybe, just maybe, a new chapter of peace could be about to begin. President Zelenskyy responds with careful gratitude for American support, acknowledging the vital role the United States has played in Ukraine's ongoing struggle for survival and independence. Yet, he draws a clear line: any peace must respect Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, a principle he refuses to compromise. He insists Ukraine won't accept a deal that rewards aggression or is dictated from abroad, emphasizing that true peace cannot come at the cost of justice or national dignity. Meanwhile, Trump's proposal is characteristically bold. He suggests freezing the current battle lines, declaring victory for both sides, and bringing an immediate halt to the bloodshed. Under this plan, Russia would keep its territorial gains while Ukraine would claim survival and continued statehood, a compromise that leaves both sides unsatisfied. The White House treads carefully, publicly supporting a just and lasting peace. But behind closed doors, officials are privately divided over the best path forward. Some see Trump's plan as a pragmatic way to end a costly and grinding war. Others fear it rewards aggression, undermines international law, and sets a dangerous precedent for future conflicts. The shift in tone is unmistakable, a move away from seeking total Russian defeat toward prioritizing stability and the prevention of further loss of life. Trump argues that prolonging the war only brings more destruction, more shattered cities, and more families torn apart, with no clear path to total victory in sight. For Zelenskyy, the idea of claiming victory while Russian troops remain on Ukrainian soil is a bitter pill to swallow, challenging his leadership and the hopes of his people. Ukraine faces the painful reality that its ultimate goals, full liberation and justice, may be out of reach for now, as the human and economic costs continue to mount. The diplomatic balancing act has never been more delicate, as leaders weigh the price of peace against the principles they hold dear, and the world watches, hoping for a resolution that brings lasting stability. Diplomacy unfolds, but beneath the surface, the balance of power is rapidly changing. These talks take place against a backdrop of shifting military power, where every move on the battlefield echoes in the halls of diplomacy. The arrival of American Tomahawk missiles has changed the game entirely, giving Ukraine the unprecedented ability to strike deep behind Russian lines, targeting critical infrastructure and command posts that were once thought untouchable. Russian command centers and supply hubs are now exposed and vulnerable, forcing Moscow to urgently rethink its entire military strategy and defensive posture. Ukrainian precision strikes have not only disrupted Russian logistics, but have also shattered supply chains and undermined Russian morale on the front lines. The psychological impact is profound. No place feels safe for Russian troops, as the threat of sudden strikes looms constantly overhead. Drones add yet another layer to Ukraine's arsenal, hitting strategic targets inside Russia itself and inflicting significant economic pain, disrupting daily life and industry. This relentless one-two punch of missiles and drones has fundamentally altered the war's calculus, forcing both sides to adapt to a new, more unpredictable reality. Ukraine can now project power far beyond its borders, raising the cost for Russia with every strike and making the Kremlin reconsider its long-term objectives. The new reality is clear. A prolonged conflict will only get costlier for Moscow, both economically and politically, as international pressure mounts. These advances on the battlefield are driving Russia to the negotiating table, wary of further losses and the growing toll of the war. The shadow of American firepower now looms over every diplomatic move, shaping decisions and strategies in ways that cannot be ignored. Ukraine's enhanced strength is a silent but powerful force at the talks, giving its negotiators newfound confidence and leverage on the world stage. The journey to these peace talks has been long and marked by failure. Early negotiations collapsed amid atrocities and irreconcilable demands. Both sides once believed victory was possible on the battlefield, refusing compromise. As the war dragged on, stalemate and war fatigue set in. Failed offensives and surprising counterattacks shifted the landscape. Total victory now seems impossible. The willingness to consider Trump's proposal shows how much has changed. U.S. pressure and signals of limited future support have forced both sides to reconsider. For Putin, a frozen conflict offers a form of victory. For Zelenskyy, it's an agonizing choice between more war or a flawed peace. The talks are born of necessity, not newfound goodwill. Trump's core proposal, freeze the battle lines, declare a ceasefire, and hold positions. It's not a formal border, but a tense armistice, echoing Korea's decades-long standoff. For Russia, it's a strategic win, control over conquered territories, time to rebuild, and a victory to sell at home. For Ukraine, it's a bitter concession. Millions left under occupation, land lost, and a sense of betrayal. The new line would be heavily militarized, a source of constant tension and risk. Ukraine's economy and recovery would suffer, with key regions under Russian control. Many fear this isn't true peace, but a festering wound that could erupt again. The guns may fall silent, but the conflict's roots remain unresolved. Few believed Ukraine could withstand Russia's initial onslaught in 2022. Instead, Ukraine's fierce defense of Kyiv and later counter-offensive stunned the world. Outgunned but determined, Ukraine shattered the myth of Russian invincibility and galvanized global support. Victories in Kharkiv and Kherson proved Ukraine could not only defend but reclaim territory. Now, with advanced Western weapons, Ukraine projects power deep into enemy lines. This transformation, from desperate defense to modern, capable force, has forced both sides to the table. Ukraine's unexpected strength is the reason for today's stalemate and fragile hope for peace. As talks unfold, uncertainty grips Ukraine's future. The battlefield's stalemate is fragile, maintained by technology and Western aid. Kyiv fears a shift in U.S. policy could force an unfavorable peace, trading land for stability. The idea of ceding territory after years of sacrifice is seen as betrayal. Zelenskyy must balance appeasing allies with honoring public resolve for total victory. The path ahead is foggy. Will peace hold, or is it just a pause before renewed conflict? The world waits, knowing the stakes, Ukraine's future, Europe's security, and the shape of the global order.